Hey guys, Silverlord here, back in with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution, I think. I don't know, it went from Transformers Kingdom to Transformers Legacy to Legacy Evolution to whatever it's called now. Does it really matter? It's a Transformers figure, god dang it. But today we'll be taking a look at the final pretender from the Transformers Legacy something or other line. Skullgrin, your boy's personal favorite, because I got some history with this guy. But before we get into all of that, it's of course brought to us by the fine folks over at Hasbro. And like his Pretender brothers, his core class Pretender brothers, this guy is a deluxe class after all. This guy was also provided to me by my good buddy Evil Villain, so I will leave a link in the description below to his Instagram. Head on over there, give him a follow, let him know Overlord sent you. But as always, oh, you get the joke by now. That said, got a little history with old Skullgrin here, because back when I was on ye old Overlord Toy Reviews, you know, the quote-unquote hacked channel, the Generations Deluxe class Skullgrin was my original channel mascot. In fact, I think he was the first channel mascot I ever had. Did a lot of cringy crap with that figure. Not like inappropriate, just stupid, dumb, and ridiculous. You know, the type of stuff you get here, but without assistance from an inanimate object. At least one that is represented as a quote-unquote mascot. So, you know, I went through a phase. I'm out of that phase. I unfortunately do not have that figure handy to compare this guy to. I will tell you, I think he's a little bigger. The old one. Because a lot of older deluxe classes are bigger than the newer ones. But for his size, I think Skullgrin is a decent little figure here. So with that being said, let's cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at Skullgrin's accessories, starting off with his gummy blade guns. Yeah, these are alright. I don't mind them as much as some people. I don't transform this guy as intended though with these, for reasons I'll get into later, but they are gummy, but they're fine. They get the job done. They look like sword, blaster, gun, blade thingies. Plenty of places to hold them. And then the other accessories he comes with are actually packaged on his back. This turret section here, you can actually pop these guys off and pop them back in. I tend to flip them around for vehicle mode, or when I'm transforming him, what have you. He does have a little tail here that is on a hinge. He's the only one of these guys with an articulated tail, by the way. And it's actually connected to the turret, so if you flip this thing up, you get more of like a compact backpack. You can rotate these things around. That said, why would you want to do that? Rock the tail, man. Rock that tail, brother! So as far as articulation on this guy goes, his unpainted head, sadly, because its sculpt is freaking amazing, is got a lot of range. You can move it up and down. I want to say it's even a little hinge joint there, but you can rotate it. It does tilt. His horns are on hinges, so they will move. You're not careful, so you'll have to probably reposition those. This one also a bit of a hinge, but if you fold these up, you kind of give them a armored look there, maybe, but whatever. Very reminiscent of the last Skullgrin they did, which I do have. I think it's from Titan's Return. Got that from old friend of the channel's, Mr. Vampire. Been a while since I talked to good old Vampire. Hope he's doing alright. But as far as this guy's shoulders go, he can hinge up and down. Rotate all the way around. He's got a bicep swivel. Single elbow, but you do get a little bit more than 90 out of it, so that's generous. If you fold the tail up, he does get a waist twist. You fold it down, he still gets a waist twist, but you're going to whack that tail. His hips have these little spiky dads on them, but you can get them to do a full split, no problem. And he can rotate forward and back. Very tight hips on this guy. He's It's got a thigh cut, single knee, and then the feet are on rockers, I think. Yes, they're on rockers. They have a little bit of hinge to them, but not a lot. It's very hindered due to the treads on the backs of his legs. So you're not going to get a ton of range out of that. But not bad for a deluxe class. I like this guy a lot. Is he as good as Bludgeon? Heck no, he's not. But he's Skullgrin. I liked him as a character. I think the only Skullgrin I don't have, other than, you know, third-party stuff, is the OG Generation 1 version. I wouldn't mind having that someday. But let's actually give him a sword in one hand. And plus side, his hands aren't really meant to be articulated, but the way they transform, you do get the appropriate hinge for holding weapons. So you can actually, like, thrust his blade into somebody's guts and then pull the trigger and blow their guts out of their back. That's kind of gnarly. Then he does have the regular kind of gun holding position for that too. You can almost make these arm cannons if you plug them into the bottom here. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to plug it into the top as it was intended. Because that works better. So, yeah, man. Skullgrin, looking sweet. I like him a lot. I wish he had a little paint on the head there. I think some red eyes, at least, and maybe some black for the skull nose would have really made him pop a little more and look a little less it's kind of blah. But I do still like the figure. I like him a lot. I'm happy to have the Pretender Trio, which the moment you've all been waiting for. I mean, you only waited, what, 2 days? Less than 2 days? It hasn't been that long. Some of you guys out there are just impatient, you know that? Here he is with Bumburst. Totally nuts. Who I still think should have been a deluxe class. A, because he's freaking plain, and B, because he's kind of whatever. And then we have Iguantis with an eye. Right there. Crazy reptilian man. I think he's a good scale with Skullgrin. I don't mind them being different scales. I just think this guy could have been bigger. I don't know. But getting them out of here. It's nice to have the Trinity together again. Getting the band together, man. We're back together, man. Whatever that phrase is. Before I wrap this up, this of course would not be one of my videos without bringing in the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith. As pointless as it is. Kind of looks... They could do a Skullgrin tribute with that guy. His horn helmet. And the infamous 11 spawn. And hey, look at that! Skullgrin definitely works as a premium member of the Men in Red and Black Club. It's an exclusive club, you know. So, with that being said, it is time now that we wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from the sheer lack of any paint whatsoever on good old Skullgrin's noggin there, he is my favorite of the Pretender Trio we've taken a look-see at over the course of the past couple of days here because of my nostalgia for this character. I had his Generations figure, I had his Titans Return figure, I always liked the character, he was a big part of my old channel, and this is a nice update. Should have had some paint on the head, and yes, his vehicle mode, which we'll be taking a look-see at in just a moment here, is a bit of a glorified paperweight, but I can look past that because I do still really enjoy this figure. I'm very happy to have him, and if I was only going to pick one of the Pretenders to add to my Transformers collection, it would be this guy. I mean, he is a demonic skeleton warrior Decepticon after all. That's pretty awesome in its own right. I mean, let's face it, that's why Bludgeon is probably going to crack my top action figures of 2023 video, whenever the heck I decide to post that is. So, with that being said, before we wrap this thing up, why don't we transform Skullgrin here into his vehicle mode. And as promised, here is good old Skullgrin in his Cybertronian hover tank vehicle mode in a slightly different configuration than what the good old Destructions say, the back of the box says, the rest of the internet probably says, because the blade cannons on the top turret here, they're actually meant to go on the sides and be kind of wings, which I still can do that. Give you a slight idea of what that looks like. Plug this in here. You can just have it like this. And then this on this side right there. So you have an idea what he'd look like with the wings, but the general consensus is, take these off, set them to the side. The plastic cannons go on this center kind of fuselage piece, like so. Put the other one here, like that. And then you're supposed to put these on the sides, but they do have a tendency to strip the paint off, I've heard. So I'm going to refrain from doing that in this video, just because I don't want to wreck my toy. I don't know if I took any off on this port, but I will tell you, I popped one of those into this port back here. Very, very tight. I actually ripped the tread off. I didn't bust anything, but I did pop off the friction hinge. So be careful with that. But this is really what it's supposed to look like, and it's fine. I gotta be honest with you, though, if you take this off, it kind of looks like a car from F-Zero, which is pretty sweet. But it is a glorified paperweight, like our good old buddy Bombburst was yesterday. It has no wheels, functioning wheels, and that kind of sucks. Same with Bludgeon. He was a glorified paperweight as well, so not quite sure why these figures do not have wheels when there's clearly room for them on the bottom. But, you know, as I mentioned in my Bludgeon review, they at least aren't going to roll off the table on me. And I have to say, I do kind of like the colors on this guy. I think if you had that Tarn figure, he'd pair up nicely with him, even though I know they don't go together. But, you know, they're both Cybertronian tanks. They're both kind of black, gray, a dark, you know, purple, red color scheme. I think they'd match up pretty well, but of the three pretenders, Skullgrin has always been my favorite. I like him a lot, probably because of the demonic skull head. Old channel mascot was Skullgrin, so yeah, this figure just does it for me, despite the fact his alt mode is a little bit on the weak side. I'm willing to admit, not gonna lie there. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And until next time, I will catch you guys later.